welcome to my Songs of Syx tutorial based stream, part 4. Yesterday, we left off where I created my jewelry industry. I wasn't able to get to my admin, but we're going to try getting there now. So let's start the game. Yesterday, in my previous stream, we built this jeweler. And within a very short period of time, we're at 500,000. Now, I'm going to rebuild, or instead of rebuild, I'm going to build fresh my admin so that I can tax my new regions. Admin, in my mind, because I'm taxing my region or controlling my region, that sounds more of a governmental function to me. So it makes sense to me to put this down into my military/government sector. So that's what I'll do. Before I build it though, I'm going to check to see if I have all the research unlocked for it. I don't, but I'm close. So I'm just going to unlock everything I can. Then I'm going to build it. It takes paper, but luckily I have enough paper to operate it. I'll build it in line with my prison and slavery. I'm going to build it fairly big. You need a lot of administration. It's kind of like knowledge. You can't get away with just a little. Not if you want to run a good empire, at least. Doesn't look even. Ah, I see. Oh, yes, the shelves. Much like the libraries. If you don't place it right, you're not going to have much places for shelves, so you'll have to put a lot of carpets, but that's okay. It'll cost you a little bit of fabric, but when you're at this point of the game, fabric's not really that hard to get. Will it do it? Yes, it will. capacity, to be honest. Maybe I'll get more capacity because of tools. Yeah, I'm gonna tool these. Have I tooled my libraries? I don't remember. Yes, yes I have. And my administration. Good. If you were watching my last stream, you would have seen the slow increase of my wealth from my jewelers. I started out with about 443,000. In the time it took me to build this one building, I have more than doubled my treasury. I can build more jewelers. It'll be much quicker to set up now that I have a successful jeweler. And I could just get super rich that way. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. Much like my libraries, I max out my administration so that I can get the most out of my workers. It may produce a little less per day per worker, but with double the workers, you're going to have a lot more administration. The main hold here is actually just paper. Now that I think about it, I should probably be building little warehouses for paper in these places. Well, I won't do that in this game. Maybe in my next game I'll be a little more strict about that kind of thing. You noticed when I copied this room, I didn't do anything. I didn't delete this room, and I didn't touch this warehouse. The reason is, it's already set up that way. When you copy all of the selections from the previous one you have as well. Oh. As much as I want to buy those cantors, I don't have the money. I have almost too many workers now. That's my food. My food's okay. One thing to note, when you build an administration, you don't get the administration instantly. Similar to that of knowledge, you have to let it build a little. But it's been sitting there for a little bit. Let's see what we have. 1,000 admin points shown at the very top left. That means I select my main region. And you're going to see all these different selections that you can select from. Looking at infrastructure, it increases production and population growth. What that's going to do is, very directly, it's going to make your taxes bigger. Well, not directly, indirectly, it's going to make it bigger. The more people you have working on a region, the more they can produce. And the production, well, they just produce more. So you have more productive workers and more of them. Then you have your sanitation. Capacity is, well, it allows you to have more people. The health aspect doesn't do much right now, but that's coming up in a future update. Now we have education. It increases production a little bit, and it gives you knowledge. But I'm not going to do anything with that right now because it also takes away your population. And the knowledge it gives you isn't that much. For example, I click this once and it gives me 373. If I was to max it out, it would give me almost 3,000. Now let's go back into the city. Each one of these libraries is giving me 18,000. Each one of them. That's 18,000, that's 18,000, that's 18,000. For 36 workers. So the cost of the administration to get that knowledge isn't really worth the cost. Especially because your admin points are worldwide. You don't get that amount of admin points for every region. You get that amount of admin points flat out, wherever you spend them. If I was to conquer this region over here, I would have just this many to work with. So I'm not going to take that knowledge because it's not really that beneficial. We have entertainment that reduces production, increases loyalty. Loyalty is a little important because you don't want your region to constantly be rebelling. If it's not your home region, the region will just become not yours. Then you have law. Really reduces production and population growth, but increases loyalty by a lot. As you see, the production is only 5% loss, with loyalty plus 10%. And here, you lose 10% production and 10% population growth, but you get 20% loyalty. So the law will give you a lot more. And it might seem like it's bad for production, but you're going to have to put these. And you're going to see the order here. This is basically your loyalty, so to speak. But let's select on the taxes. We're going... One thing before I do anything here, there is an exhaust button here. What this does is it gives you double the taxes that you would normally. However, you're also going to go through a much longer period of time where you're not going to get nearly as many resources. So it's a burst mechanic. Stability in this game is better than burst, primarily because you have the spoilage rates. If you have a lot of unused resources, a lot of resources spoil on you. So right now I am looking at fruit, so I'm going to click on 2 tax. You're going to see 1.8 thousand. You're also going to see here my order went down. So because I don't need to get that much order, because it only went down 6% below, I'm just going to click on Entertainment 1. And that brings me right back up. You may have also noticed that the taxes went down. Oh, and that went back up. So it went down because of the production loss here. But because I created my infrastructure and sanitation to max, my population, as you see here, is still growing. So this is going to increase over time with my population growth. You can also see in your tax menu a little bit of a blue bar here. The higher the blue bar, much like when you're looking at your regions when you're placing your city, tells you how much you can tax from them. It looks like I can tax coal quite a bit from these people. If you see a bar that has no bright blue, it doesn't really matter how much points you put into that. It's not going to give you much, if anything. So you can only really tax, in truth, the bars with blue, bright blue. But now that I've gotten fruit taxed, there is something else we need to do. Remember how this said it would only give me about 500? Well, because of my technology and tools, it's closer to 1,700. Gotta love that. What am I? I'm missing rocks. Cut stone, actually. And rocks. I'm going to address this in my industry shortly, but I'm getting my... Oh, let's buy that much. But I'm getting something else built first. My admin. Oh, it looks like I cleared out the majority of the main rock. Soon I might have to think about importing it. But with all of these odd jobbers, this should get done pretty quickly. I have a lot of exports, but very little imports. And there's going to be a need for more imports. So I'm importing coal, metal, and gems. I need to remember that. Reset up for coal, metal, protection. Go screw yourselves. Coal, metal. Where's gems? Gems. Now I'm going to start importing stone. Do I need to import wood? No. I'm also going to import pots for now. Eventually I'm going to turn that into clay. I actually need green in one of these. So one of these I'm going to cancel at some point. All these imports I just set up are going to cost me resources to buy. Makes sense, right? Here's how you get your taxes. I have fruit taxed. Okay, so I'm going to click fruit. Now it's going to buy it. However, I don't want to pay for it because I'm going to get it in taxes. So my import level, you put to 0. You don't import at all. You might think that this is going to stop your taxes from going in, but we're going to speed it up and we're just going to watch. Because it doesn't. The 1.8 thousand taxes comes what seems to be more than once per year. We're going to look a little bit more in depth on that. I believe it's closer to once per season. Now, you see all these fruits. I have my import level to 0. This is how you get your taxes without buying anything. An import depot minimized. taxes have to come to an import depot because that's the only way to really bring resources into your city. At least how the game was coded. Ooh, 1.9 million. I can easily afford an army of mercenaries. You see how quickly my treasury built after I have these 3 jewelers built? This is what's known to be the end game resource, or better said, treasury builder. It's also how most people break the game for themselves. For now, there's a few things I need to address. Now that I'm getting fruit, I'm going to enable people to eat fruit. Now when you click on your eateries, on the very left hand you have eatery 1, 2, 3, blah blah blah. That's an easy way to just control all of your eateries. Unfortunately, there's no one button fixes all. At least not that I'm aware of. So you'll kind of have to scroll through them. Eatery 1, eatery 2. I can't select eatery 6 there. Eatery 7. Eatery 8. Now they can all eat it. I'm going to check my canteens to make sure they're all good. And they are. I'm going to have a massive flow of fruit. I don't have to worry about anyone starving anymore. Because I don't have to worry about that, I am now going to remove all of these farms. Free up a lot of space. I believe it was my second video. I said that I was going to remove the farms. Well, now I've removed them. Because I no longer need them due to the taxes. The taxes which I was speaking about in my first video when I was selecting the city. Location. I almost just said city. You would have known what I meant. Now that I have a lot of money to work with, and I can import anything I want, I no longer have to worry too much about, well, anything really. I should build another library block before I delete that. So I will. I'm going to double my library capacity. With the amount of workers I have, this should be a breeze. My population is starting to get close to the capacity of my nurseries. In one of my other videos, I mentioned that my nursery capacity, or population capacity, was around 1.5 thousand. But I'm going to take care of that after this rebellion. So they spawned in Kodrati. Let's see what they have. Right here. 224. Because I am now rich, why are mercenaries always... So Garthemi, humans. Let's just hire them all. I'm not worried about money anymore. I have such an advantage, I don't see a reason to battle this one. I'm gonna auto-resolve this battle. And I will take all of these races. You'll also see the spoils I get. I'm getting weapons, armor, bows, arrows, a lot of clothing, rations, drinks. That's where I got my drinks from last time. So we have 717 drinks. I'm gonna see just how it affects. I have a feeling it's gonna show up by my treasury. Or, not my treasury, my throne. I don't know why I said treasury. I could actually pretty much remove this here, but I'm not going to. I paused it, and I was right. The war spoils are coming by my throne. Think of it as an offering to their king. Now, unlike those other videos, I'm not going to forget to disband my mercenaries. So now, they're free. They cost money every year to upkeep, and it costs about double what you purchased them to upkeep them for. It's normally cheaper just to buy them for that one battle, and then disband them after. Because by the time another battle comes along, it would have been a few years anyways. There we go. Now that those are up and running, I'm going to remove this. From this point onwards, most, if not all, of my placements are going to be related to making the city look better. No longer am I just going to throw something down just to get it down for that moment. Now, I can start building for pure appearance. That's a good thing. But as this is just being a tutorial video, I'm not going to try that hard. That's a little too close. close for my liking. Create a little back alley. Because people use the back alleys. Oh, there's an issue I just found. Can't have that. I could, but I'm not going to. Actually, I am going to build one there. Because I plan to move this training room. I'll leave one space so that I can create a back alley. In case anybody's wondering why I built this house this way, I believe I answered it in a previous video, but I'll answer it here in a much more direct manner. When workers aren't working, or better said, everybody works on a schedule in this game. There's work time, and then there's idle time. So between the hours of X and X, they're working. And between the hours of X and X, they're idle. During their idle time, which is less than their working time usually, they have to get all of their other services done. Sleep, entertainment, crapping, bathing. So when they travel too far from their workplace, they may not have the time to do that. Especially if buildings are too far apart. The reason I build complexes with everything in them, and only one entrance, when they come in, everything they need is within a very small area, so they don't really have to travel very far to get everything done. And if you build a complex like this close-ish to their workplace, they'll have a lot of idle time. When they complete all of their basic living necessities, they then go to entertainment. As you can see, a group of people here. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to click on this guy. And in here you can see he's pretty well looked after. He's in the green for almost everything. can also see for this particular person, there's a lot of noise, but that's because I'm only building one thick wood walls. If I built 2 thick stone, the noise would be a lot different. He likes the space. There's a lot of lighting, so everywhere this person goes, especially because he's in between 2 torches right now, he's got a lot of lighting. But with complexes like this, generally your population will be able to get all of their needs met with very little travel and effort. And that's why I build these complexes with everything in them. If I was to build, for example, this was a sleeping complex and this was a canteen, and they worked up here, they'd probably go to sleep and not have enough time to go here by the time they have to go back to work. Think of this sort of like those older city building games where everything has a radius, and if it's not in that radius, it doesn't fulfill the needs. It's not exactly like that. They will travel technically across the entire map to do their thing, but they're time limited. So in essence, if there's not enough services in a decent enough radius, chances are they're not going to take it all to their fullest extent. Hopefully that the explanation assists you in the future with building your own cities. Or just provides better knowledge. Ooh, now that I got a whole lot of research, I'm going to boost my administration to the max. I'm going to boost my technology to the max, an extra 60%. And now that I have all of these libraries, some players like to build grand libraries. It would be about the size of what my 4 libraries is in just one. But I don't do that. I like to build more modular. Now let's see what I can do with my other 25, soon to be more. Oh yes, warehouses. I'm gonna max my warehouse, because what that does is every level you get spoilage deterrent, so to speak. And in some goals in this, such as Warehouse 6, one, you unlock transports, but also you have carrying capacity. What that means for all of your warehouse workers, instead of being able to carry a bag of potatoes, they can carry, for example at max, 10 bags of potatoes. It makes them effectively like humans with built-in carts. But this is only effective to your warehouse workers. This doesn't affect your odd jobbers. I also unlocked the transport feature. I've never actually used it, and this came up as a question in one of my previous streams, but I never had the technology to do it. So I'm going to play around with it right now so that I know how to use it, and this can help those who have questions about it to be able to use it as well. So let's experiment and see what it does. You can read the tooltip and it's pretty self-explanatory. However, I find myself I'm more of a tactile learner, and just being explained something may not always work for me, so I'm going to try it. Now that I have it, I'm going to slow this down a little bit. Let's select it. Already I can see a radius. I'm going to max that radius and see what that does. Okay, so these don't go around the entire world. You're going to have to place these pretty strategically, especially once you start making much larger settlements. I'm going to leave it at 1 worker because I'm going to destroy this. I'm going to click fetch. Now I'm going to take fruit. I'm going to click this as my destination. So it looks like it's transporting to this warehouse. And if I understand this correctly, it looks like within this big blue radius, it's going to take the resource selected. But I don't really have any of that. So I'm going to change that to meat. See if that changes anything. Insufficient workers allocated. There's no such thing as insufficient workers war. Okay, so something's happening. Okay. So it looks like there's a few workers gathering meat. So I'm going to follow this guy. Speed this up a little. I think he's going to take it out of this warehouse. Yep. He's going to put it on here, which he did. Where is my wheelbarrow? Looks like he's right here. Yeah, transporter. So it looks like they took one of my livestock. Because I only have onks, they're using an onks. Now I would wager he's just putting it all here. Yes, that's exactly what he's doing. Okay. So I just learned this the same as everybody else just now. Basically, this transporter, anywhere within this range, this big blue range, will fetch any resource that is on the ground or in a warehouse that does not have the fetch function enabled. An example of that being, it would take from this warehouse. But if I toggle this, it no longer takes from that warehouse. But if I don't have the fetch function on, the workers from this place won't go about looking to fetch it. Instead, only these people will do it. So because my fetch function is off over here, but more specifically because it's off here, they're picking up from this resource, or they're picking up from this warehouse, and they're bringing it to the selected destination. Selected destination being this warehouse. And they seem to be doing it at quite a significant rate. You'll also see this delivery man. This is part of the research that we just picked up. Instead of just walking, he actually has a wheelbarrow. That's part of the added weight research, i.e. the carrying capacity. He's carrying a lot more than he otherwise would have. He's called a delivery man, not a transporter. These are transporters. Warehouse workers are delivery men. So now that I've explored how transports work, I can definitely see the value in these transports. They definitely look like they could be useful in many different types of situations. But I don't really need it, because I've built my city in a way that doesn't require transporters. My city is very centralized. If I was to build a town out here, for example, then I would see transporters being vital. So I'm just going to remove that now. There's not enough room to place housing in here. I suspect I'm going to place more industry in here. Will it fit? Yes, it'll fit. That's good. Smithies. Now that we've had a bit of time for the taxes to do their thing, you can see my fruit is significantly higher than I was able to maintain earlier. Now let's click on this. You can see when you hover over this the amount of taxes. My taxes was set to 1.8 thousand when we last looked at it. You can see here taxes is 5.1, 3.4, 7.4, 3.7, and that's not yet done yet. What that tells is the taxes, as I suspected, isn't a yearly amount, because it's still 1.8. Instead, it appears to be a seasonal amount. And there are 4 seasons. Otherwise, how would you get the 7,000 range? It doesn't seem to be 100% consistent in that. However, it does appear to be more of a seasonal tax. I'm gonna reduce that tax though, if I can. Because I'm starting to overflow. Yeah, I'm gonna reduce it a little. You'll notice taxes also takes administration points. Everything you do in a region, whether it be your own or one that you've conquered, costs administration points. Everything you do. That's weird. Oh no, okay, never mind. I'm gonna set up an army soon. I'm gonna conquer a region. And show you what you can do with another region. Actually, I'll save that for my next stream. My previous streams have been pretty long, so I'm trying to moderate the amount of time my streams are. So, conquest of the new regions will have to wait for my next stream. For now, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. Creating tools, so I'm gonna keep this one as tools because you can never have too many tools. I'm also gonna change my recipe. I'm gonna start making weapons and armor, and these other two. So now I have 2 smithies creating tools, 1 smithy creating armor, 1 smithy creating weapons. Now that I'm gonna have some degree of armaments, I'm going to go back into my army tab, where now I have 18 cantors, which is massive. I'm going to max out their weapons and armor. That will make my cantors pretty much unkillable. I'll give the minimum amount for my conscripts. I should actually train more conscripts. Tier 1 and everything. I also have to start thinking about increasing my nursery capacities, which I'm going to do right now. Because this is my governmental district, or the district that's going to run my propaganda, I will create 2 human and 1 more Talapi. The reason I'm doing that, Talapi grow quicker than humans. With the way submission works in this game, it works in a percentage base. The happier they are, the better. So when you have a high amount of military force, if you have a high amount of fulfillment, you're good. Up until you hit 51% of slaves being your population. Once they hit 51%, all of these bonuses you have become negatives. So instead of 158% of protection adding to submission from your army, it would be 158% of rebellion. So you're guaranteed to have a slave riot. And the reason it's like that is because submission is based on a percentage of your advantage. The advantage is really the base stat. Everything is calculated off that. 1 slave is the equivalent of 1 citizen. When your advantage reaches the negatives, i.e. you have more slaves than citizens, then all of those multiplicated bonuses from your submission and your army and your fulfillment then become negative to you. It's something we found when I was testing a mod for a modder, and you can't get around this. It's hard-coded into the game on how it works with advantage. So, good news for Wes, the other viewer we have. This stream focused almost entirely on taxes and administration. Feel free to watch the video throughout. It should give you a fair degree, if not almost completely, on how taxes and administration work. I don't have enough time today to go through too much military, but tomorrow I'm planning to work through a military video to show more of how that works. And it'll probably be around the same time tomorrow as it was today. But I'm going to actually prepare for my stream tomorrow, right quick. I'm going to create a little section here. I'm going to create stockades. 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to have it 3. Lay some groundwork so I don't have to worry too much about my time tomorrow. But yeah, so the video I did today is the taxation and administration. I started off almost right around from the very start. I'll be ending the stream soon, unfortunately. The 4 or 3 hour streams I've been doing are a little excessive, so I'm trying to moderate it. And before I end that stream, I'm going to create a bunch of torches. Now, how I'm placing these torches is I'm taking the ultra blue light and putting that right up on top of the other light. That's overlapping probably a little too much, but it's going to guarantee that people have as much light as they can handle. I won't be having any issues with light, and that's my goal. I'm not too worried about the resources because of my excessive income. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. This is gonna hurt their happiness, but I'm gonna do it. Basically, I just purposely killed a bunch of babies. But it can't be avoided because my OCD won't let me build my city otherwise. Instead, I'm going to create a new... What's going on? Now, there's something to keep in mind. Sometimes, if you're copying and moving multiple rooms, you'll need to refresh your button by right-clicking a few times. Otherwise, you're going to be selecting all types of wonky types of setups. I'm going to show you here in a second what I just quickly got rid of. So I just right click once, and I just copied that. So let's say I want to copy this building. I click the go button. All of a sudden, now I have 2. Basically, I've copied this button and this button. And when I right click once, they're still selected. If you right click again, then it deselects it. Just something to keep in mind. And you're right, they weren't aesthetically pleasing babies. They were good bad elves. It's funny you say that. In some of my previous games, before I was streaming, I would actually have about 800 Kryptonians. And I just flat out committed genocide on them. I killed them all because I didn't want them in my city. And I had quite the rebellion and I killed them all. even quicker, and it was awesome. I'm a very dark player. There's many people in the game you'll find in the Discord. They don't believe in slavery and they don't believe in dictatorships. This game wouldn't be any fun if you didn't have people who did just that. In fact, that's how I normally play, so I'm going to start playing that way again. Just so I can show in a video. I'm going to accept Cretonians. And then I'm going to commit genocide on them. Because I want to. Not because I need to, but because I want to. I probably won't push this particular map into a very end state game. Just enough to explain the way the game works. And I'll very likely start another stream with a less tutorial based playthrough where I'm willing to play according to people's suggestions. So if they want me to play a Cretonian in the desert, I'll give that a try. If they want me to be a super evil overlord where I enslave everybody and kill different races because I can, then I'll try that. That's one of the beautiful things about Songs of Syx, is there's so many different ways to play the game, and no way is right or wrong. And there's more difficult ways, but they could present a challenge that could be fun to play. And that's actually how I got, or one of the reasons I got my Master Builder title. To get the Master Builder title, basically you have to know what the hell you're doing. But also, you have to have made an assortment of different settlements based on completely different types of play styles that are completely out of the norm. And they have to be very aesthetically pleasing. So, to my understanding, that's how I got my Master Builder title. Playing ways that most people simply won't try. That's also how some of the information they got is how they got it. Really, I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. But you wouldn't have the knowledge of slaves being the 50% in the submission unless you had people like me who purposely go out of their way to play like that. Now earlier in the video, you saw I had to reduce my taxes because I was just getting too much. Even at level 1, I'm still getting too much. My people just can't eat it in time. I'm going to take a look at this. And I was getting about 7.4 thousand a few years ago. Since I've reduced it, it's went down to about 1.8 thousand. But they only consume about 1.8 thousand. Not even that. So having my taxes down to level 1 seems to match my consumption. Which is good. Which means level 1 for my current population is what we need. And no, there's no application process. Just send me a message in Discord at some point, or when I'm ready to do my next video, and then I'll take whatever suggestions and I'll give it a shot. I've played very many different types of maps, so I'm fairly confident in most of the suggestions. I should be able to make a working city. It would also be interesting to have suggestions on what type of aesthetic the city should be, whether it should be more of a farming rural or if it should be an urban. Sometimes seeing how people make those cities, and I often look at the gallery myself, and I've actually seen you build some pretty interesting setups, specifically with the miniature greenhouse in every farming area. I haven't actually seen that before. So I like to look at other people's cities, not only to see how creative other people can be and see the beautiful cities people can make, but also to get some ideas and generally how people play. There's not very many people at all that play evil. Most people play pretty good. And that's kind of boring sometimes. My OCD won't let me do this. I have to fix those. Oh, I unlocked the level. I unlocked Lord. And that gives me more bartering and more happiness. Now I'm curious. What would my livestock sell for? My livestock was selling, I think, for around the 600 range. Last I checked. Oh, I'm not selling my livestock. I should. No, it's still about 600. Okay. So, last order of business for this stream, unless anybody has any more specific questions for me to explain. I'm going to go through how much these 6 should get me. I removed all of my initial nurseries from up here, and I removed the slap down nurseries from down here. Now I have my more permanent nurseries. I haven't sectioned off my cities with walls yet, but that will be in a future video. Instead, these are all based on the initial nursery of 24 beds each. Now, I find you can get roughly 16 citizens per bed by the time the first one is going to die of old age. So, each nursery here can get me, within an 80-year period, 384 population. I have 6 nurseries. So, by the 80-year mark, my population should be around 2,304 running by these nurseries. That is not including any immigrants. Dondorians, for example, cannot be grown, as was shown in one of my previous videos. They are only immigrants. It's safe to say my population with just these 6 will easily be in the 2,500 range within an 80-year period, if not sooner. For anyone that's interested, there is a mod out there made by Twiggy. I'm going to advertise a little bit for him, but it's an Onks mod. Yes, I said Onks mod. They are sheep people, just like these Onks. They grow very quickly. In fact, you'll be overwhelmed with Onks. And their submission is basically 1,000%. And yes, 1,000%. They're 10 times as submissive as every other race. However, while you may have a lot of them, they are very cowardly. And building an army of them, you're not really going to do anything with it. They're going to run as soon as about 5% of them die. So it's up to you whether you want to check out that mod. It's on Steam. And yes, that's exactly it. Sheeple. Twiggy, the maker of that, also has a very evil overlord mindset, and that's why he made the mod, because you get your sheeple and you sacrifice them. One of the religions, which I'll do in another stream after my military stream, is you can sacrifice living people. So you sacrifice your sheeple. It's awesome, really. And they don't get very mad because they're sheep. For the application for a Master Builder title, no. I joined back in patch 3 or 4 when there weren't very many people with the eyes on the game. I'm not sure whether they're still doing master titles. But if you're looking for a master title, I would suggest, well, first you have to build multiple really big cities, and I'm talking about populations of 5,000 plus. And submit those into the gallery and tag, I think it was Bendigerfrin, and possibly send them a quick message and ask if you can be given Master Builder title. You may need to answer a few questions, knowledge of the game. Master Builders are kind of like your subject matter experts, and they've also proven with very excellent city building at some point that they're capable of building those cities. The cities will also need to be non-modded as well, so that somebody else could pick it up and know how it works. And that's one of the reasons I stream without mods, or I'm also not in developer mode. So this is a very vanilla view of how the game should be. So anybody who's interested in the game will be able to pick it up. But as far as I'm tracking, there's only 13 master builders right now. So you can apply for it, but at this point in time, I can't guarantee that they're still looking for master builders. But if you don't ask, you'll never receive, right? If you don't try, you don't get it. Worst they can say is no. Anyways, with that, I'm going to end my stream for today. I hope you join me tomorrow, and I'm going to look at military and conquest. I've kind of sectioned off a little bit of an area here. It's not that big, but it doesn't need to be big. And this is where I'm going to stage my military for tomorrow's stream. Or if not tomorrow, then my next stream. But I'm going to try for tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you later.